Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Bald Father Bets. We're coming at you from the Hilton Garden Inn in downtown Indianapolis. A lot colder here than it is in Birmingham, Alabama, but that's okay. This is football weather. We're going to the Lions-Colts game tomorrow, which we already have a play on. Make sure you're checking our community post. So quick recap of Thursday Night Football. Then we'll give you our plays for College Football Saturday. But first, please just double check that you are subscribed to the channel, notifications on, so that you are getting our community posts where we make plays early in the week and also halftime plays. And then please just support the channel, like, share, comment. Never ask anyone to pay for these picks. Just want to grow our channel, and the number one way you can support that is by making sure you're subscribed and then sharing this around and interacting so we help get in the YouTube algorithm. So Thursday Night Football, we got a win. We had the Browns plus the 3.5, really good game. What a football game. God, that was awesome. More just amazing Jameis Winston sound bites. He continues to be the best thing to touch a microphone in the NFL. But what a awesome game. I mean, the snow coming down and it just looked so football. So yeah, good win for us on that side. Really, 3.5 was never in doubt. Got a little spicy there for the Browns to come away with a victory. You could say the 3.5 is in doubt anytime you have a game like that. You have your team down. You have a team plus 3.5. They're down by 1 and they have the ball. Because the ball can be so slippery, right? Anything can happen in terms of a scoop score, fumble, touchdown, anything like that. So I shouldn't say the game was never really in doubt for us. There was a point in time where something really bad could have happened that would have taken away the cover, but Browns able to come away with a victory there. If you did get on that Browns over 3.5 win total back when they switched to Jameis from Deshaun Watson, you're 1 win away. So hopefully that cashes for you guys, because we don't do future bets here at Bald Father Bets, but we like to stay on top of a few things. So College Football Saturday, we've pretty much made all the plays so far this week. There's a few games that I'm going to talk about that we're going to look at still throughout the day. Not giving an official pick on them here because they're later in the day, and I'm still just not sold on a few things, I guess would be the best way that I would describe it. So starting off with our noon kickoffs, we have Ohio State minus 10 for 10 units, and we took them minus 12.5 for another 10 units. I just don't see it for Indiana. I understand the analytics, and even when you factor in for strength of schedule that show you that Indiana is actually a top 10 team. I fully understand it. I've watched a lot of their film. I get it. I truly do. I don't think this is 2022 TCU when they were 14-point dogs to Georgia and they lost 65-7. I don't think this is a situation where you had Florida State last year against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. It's not that. I just think Indiana has not seen anything like what they're about to see today. Curtis Rourke has never played in a game like this. Now, he did play 2022, so he would have been either a freshman or a sophomore. Early on in his career, he did play at Penn State when he was with Ohio. He lost 42-10. I give him a pass on that because of how young he was, okay? The other thing going for Indiana here is Curtis Rourke had like 800 scrimmage yards rushing with Ohio. He has net 17 yards so far this season with Indiana. They are going to run him. It's going to be a wrinkle that they introduce specifically for this game that they have not shown on film. How could you not, after you saw the 4 runs that Dylan Gabriel had that were really kind of the decisive run, like they were the decisive factor in how Oregon was able to pull off that victory against Ohio State. Those 4 key runs for Dylan Gabriel in very key situations on third down, especially the one that I think was the 29-yard touchdown that gave Oregon the lead. You can't not factor that in here. I just think that Ohio State still just feels so disrespected all the time. They have been either the best or the second best program in the country since Ryan Day has taken over. Ryan Day is a much better head coach than Urban Meyer. Much better, by the way. Please, someone come at me, and would love to have a live chat discussion with someone who thinks Urban Meyer is a better head coach than Ryan Day. I will tear you to shreds, I promise. And they've just been so disrespected because they lost to Michigan 3 years in a row. You could feel it when they played Notre Dame last year. You could feel it in the Penn State game this year. You felt it when they played Georgia in 2022 and they were 7-point dogs. I know it's a 10-point line right now, but it's almost disrespectful to Ohio State. And yes, they have the offensive line issues. Yes, McLaughlin got hurt. I just don't think it matters. Indiana's top corner, I forget his name. He's grading out at a PFF of an 87, which is very, very high for a corner. It's extremely high. He's very good. The rest of the secondary grades somewhere in the 70s and the 60s. Tate, Smith, Egbuka, all lined up, spread across. And then you have Trevion Henderson in the back, who you can also split out wide because he has really good pass catching ability. You can do that with 4 wide, take a tight end off, and then still bring in Judkins in the back. I just don't think it matters. Other than the Oregon game, Ohio State's defense, they're so consistent. They give up somewhere between 7 and 14 points a game. They give up an early drive, and then Knowles kind of settles in and figures stuff out, and then they attack. I just don't see it. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm usually right with the 20-unit plays. I have been wrong before. Someone asked me 20-unit plays I've had in the past. I wasn't quite as aggressive in 2022 because I hadn't built up such a unit cushion over the course of several years. So I made a 20-unit play on Ohio State plus the 7 against Georgia. At the time, it would have been, if I did that game now, that would have been a 50-unit play. That's the most confident I've ever been in a pick in my life. Last year, I made one 20-unit play in college. It was Michigan minus 3.5 against Washington in the national championship game. Obviously, that cashed pretty easily. But caveat to that, in the semifinal games, I made a 15-unit play on Alabama, and I lost, obviously. So I have lost big unit plays before. That's being my point. I think you guys have seen, I think I've lost 1 or 2 10-unit plays this year. So just because it's 20 units does not mean that it's a lock to happen. It just means that I'm very confident in it. And then in the NFL playoffs, I made a few 20-unit plays. All of those hit. They were in the second, and then the divisional round, and then the conference championship games. So I'm very confident in this. I do have to give out the warning too. I am biased towards Ohio State. I do think they're the best program in the country, and I think they have been since Ryan Day has taken over head coach. I think they're a better program than Georgia since he's taken over head coach. I just don't think that they've won the big game. Georgia has played an SEC East schedule under Kirby Smart, and then essentially plays 1 to 3 big games a year. And they kind of gotten lucky as to how they play. Now, 2021 Georgia was an elite team and one of the best teams. 2022 Georgia was not as good as Ohio State. If Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't get the concussion in that game, Ohio State wins. And then they got lucky that they got to play an overachieving TCU team in the national championship. Like I said, I think Ohio State's the best program in the country. I think they will show it today. I think you've kind of seen some aggressiveness out of Ryan Day. I think he knows what the spread is, and I think they will cover. And I think you'll kind of see a suffocating defense from them in the second half. Maybe a little ugly early, but I think in the second half they'll give up like 3 points and they'll cover the number. So enough on that one. Moving on. I told you guys to pull the Florida bet that we made early. I rarely do that. That's the first time that we did this year. I said, cash it out. Even if you end up paying a small amount of juice to do it, cash that out. And the reason, and I'm glad I did, we are laying it with Ole Miss. So we're taking Ole Miss minus the 13. We're doing that for 5 units. So the 3-unit play we had on Florida, we pulled that. We're coming in over the top on Ole Miss for 5 units. Ole Miss has everyone healthy. Trey Harris is back. That secondary for Florida is so hampered. And I think what Texas was able to do against Florida, you're going to see Ole Miss do and then some, because Ole Miss is a better team than Texas. I think you're going to see Ole Miss's defensive line be able to get after Lagway with 4. I don't think they're going to have to blitz. Freshman quarterback going up against that pass rush is terrifying. Lagway has been good this year. I think you're going to see some mistakes and some turnovers here today. So Ole Miss minus the 13 for 5 units. We go into the afternoon. We only have one play. It's Arizona State minus the 3, and we did that one for 5 units. Continue to fade BYU. That's all this is. Continue to fade BYU. Big game at Arizona State, big game in Tempe for one of the first times in a long time. Happy for them, happy for that program. Like I said, I went to high school out in Arizona. I got a lot of friends who went to Arizona State. My mom, before she passed, she was an Arizona State grad. It's a big spot for Tempe. I think they'll show up for it, and I think they'll play well. And I think the fickle nature of BYU and getting all the bounces to go their way, and then they didn't against Kansas, I think that continues to even out as things mostly do over the course of a 12-game season. And I like Arizona State here, minus the 3 at home. That's the only afternoon play we have. We are looking at the Kentucky-Texas game. The line continues to move down, and every single time it moves down by a half a point, the probability of Texas covering continues to go up. Kentucky really does not have any offense. The problem is Kentucky's played 3 big games this year. They won 1, they lost another one by 1 point, and they lost another one by 7 points. Kentucky shouldn't have a pulse, but somehow they do in these big games. So that's why I'm very reserved about it, because Texas is playing Texas A&M next week, and we've talked about that on the A&M side. I feel like it's almost too easy. Models would tell you Texas should win this 25, 26, 24, 27 points. It's almost too easy with how the line keeps coming down and down and down. But at some point, it gets to a point to where you have to play it. It wouldn't be anything more than 3 units, but check back in community posts throughout the day to see if we do anything. Right now, I'm leaning no, but that can change by afternoon kickoffs. Into the evening, we have Army plus the 16.5 against Notre Dame. That line has since come down. I would take it anything above 14. One of the hardest things for a model to do is predict games which involve the service academies, because of the style that they play. It essentially takes the other team out of everything that they do. Now, Notre Dame has played Navy, so they've prepared for this scheme before. Army and Navy are very, very different. Army incorporates more downfield passing and has the ability to do so more than Navy does. They're a more equipped offense. They have better offensive line. They have a better quarterback. They have better receivers. They have better running back. Army's a better team than Navy. We were on Notre Dame against Navy. We're on Army against Notre Dame for a reason here. This is Army's season. If Army wins this game, you start to have a real debate between them and Boise State. And come conference championship time, Boise State may not get the rematch against UNLV. I forget who it is that they would play, but it wouldn't be a blockbuster matchup. Army would get to play Tulane. And then you would have a real debate about the winner of the Army-Tulane game versus Boise State as to who should get in the playoff, especially if Army's undefeated and they beat Notre Dame. So this is Army's season. I think Monken knows that. I love his offense. I just think that they're going to keep this one close with Notre Dame up at Yankee Stadium. Moving on into the 2 primetime slots. We took Oklahoma plus the 14 for 5 units against Alabama. Love it. I think you can get it at 14.5 now at some places. Wild, insane to me. Yeah, I love it. Alabama is good, not great. Outside of 4 running around, they don't have much on offense. They have Ryan Williams, but teams have started to lock him down because they have nothing else. huge spot for OU. I mean, they're 5-5. They have the second longest bowl streak of any program in the country. AD came out and made the assurance that they're bringing back Venables, which is the right move. He needs to get a new offensive coordinator, but that's the right move. Their defense is nasty. Danny Stutzman is a dog. I think he'll be trekking on Milrow for a lot of this game, and I think he'll play well. OU's going to keep this one closer than 14. So 5 units on Oklahoma. Then, and would not surprise me if they win outright either. Like I said, Alabama's not that good. Auburn and A&M, talked about this. We're on Auburn plus the 3 for 5 units. I love it. If Auburn didn't scare me to death, it would be a 20-unit play, but they scare me to death because Peyton Thorne may just shit all over himself and throw 5 interceptions. Outside of that, there's no way A&M wins this game. Marcel Reed, like I said, he has played essentially one good half of football against a defense that has shown that they couldn't stop a mobile quarterback, even if you and I were playing offensive line. So this is such a difficult spot for A&M. I mean, Elko said in his press conference, right? You know, we're solely focused on Texas. Oh, wait, no, I mean Auburn. It's A&M wants to beat Texas more than Texas wants to beat A&M, and that is saying a lot. Because if you told me at the beginning of the year Texas is going to play in the national championship game, which game do you want to win more, that one or the A&M game? I would tell you I want to win the A&M game more. The detest that we have for each other is beyond anything. So A&M, this is just such a tough spot. Going to Auburn, to Jordan-Hare, night game the week before the Texas game. SEC needs to do something about the scheduling. That's a whole other conversation, but for Texas to have played as easy as a schedule as they did while Georgia played the schedule that they did, to have some of the matchups that they're having before such other important matchups, the SEC scheduling needs to do something, because we can't keep going like this, to where you're just going to have years where some teams literally play a Big 12 schedule while the other ones play like the hardest SEC schedule you've ever heard of. So, other point. That's it for the plays that we're giving out in the video. Check back with community posts because, like I said, that Texas-Kentucky one is a watch. There's a few others that are a watch. Kansas-Colorado is a big one for me. Everything says you should take Kansas plus the 3. I'm reserved in it because Shedeur and Travis kind of know what they need to do to finalize Travis as the Heisman winner. By the way, that was one of the features that I told you guys about weeks ago, when you could still get it at plus money. I'm reserved. Daniels has been playing a lot better for Kansas. Kansas has been playing a lot better. They're a team who could be 9-1 if certain bounces went their way. They've been the unluckiest program so far this year. I was down on them coming into the year. I didn't think they were a true Big 12 title contender. They weren't, but they're a good team. We may look to see if we could get more value at halftime. 3, I could just see Colorado kind of pouring something on late there. They have to kind of play the stats game. They need to look good. They need to look dominant. This is a big one for Shedeur and Travis in terms of their draft stock. I mean, both of them will be top 5 picks come April, but they need to continue to play really well. So I'm reserved on that one. Outside of that, there's a few others. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I have them on watch status. So if the model gives us anything where it says that, hey, we have to play it, I'll come in with a community post. Thank you, guys. Enjoy College Football Saturday. Again, please just support the channel. Like, share, comment. Make sure you're subscribed. Really enjoyed the interaction with you all season. And hook 'em.